Hello, welcome back. Now, this is the most highly anticipated release of a free diving mask ever. Promises to be not a revolutionary product, but certainly a drastic evolution on what we all have come to know. Those masks that we all wear that come close to our face, have a split lens design, and help us free dive, and present a compromise of sorts in that they are not as wide or as comfortable or as open in their field of view as a regular mask, but with that compromise comes a whole host of other advantages, such as the fact that with the reduced internal volume, we don't really have to equalize the mask all that much, concentrating on what we're doing, being for reaching depth, spearfishing, observing the environment. Now, this mask right here claims to be designed to minimize, if not eliminate, all of the compromises that come with this type of design. And today, we're gonna see if that in fact is true. So, let's let the cat out of the bag. Wow. Well, judge for yourselves. I give you the C4 Falcon. When it comes to masks, we are going to have three judging categories. The first one is going to be design and manufacture. Then we're going to have a very important fit and functionality. And the last category, vision. So on the first category, design and manufacture, the first point is going to be windows, or what you might refer to as the lenses. Let's have a look at the windows of the mask. As you can see, it's two of them. One important point is that they are actually made of glass, optical grade glass, and as you can see right here, that T on the top indicates that it's tempered glass, so it's going to be shatter resistant. This is really good because a lot of the free diving masks, especially the low volume masks, tend to use polycarbonate, which is plastic instead of glass, and that reduces the actual optical quality considerably. Another advantage of glass over polycarbonate is that it is much stronger, therefore much more resistant to scratches and anything else that it's so common, to find or come across a mask. Whereas diving or inside a dive, the lenses themselves are set up properly in this semi-plastic frame that is not a full frame. Therefore, this mask can be considered frameless because, as you can see, it easily bends without the presence of a full stiff frame. But the lenses are nevertheless contained within a half frame, if you will, that allows them to remain in place. So 5 points in this category. Next, very important point, the strap. And this strap is basically the same one used on the other C4 mask nowadays. First of all, it has a very wide back that allows it to fit comfortably on a large portion of the head. It also has this web of different straps right here, if you will, which gives us a lot of options for positioning the clip where we're gonna put our snorkel through, and thus allowing us to actually position the snorkel towards the back of the head where it is at its optimal position. Another excellent feature of the strap, it's the swiveling buckle. Okay, and the actual adjustment button right here, the clip buttons that are really good, allowing us to really adjust the strap anywhere in any direction without even having to take the mask off, something that many masks claim but do not achieve. But one thing that I have noticed on this mask that kind of has left me a bit perplexed is this structure right here. This mask, in all masks that have a frame like this, the buckle of the strap basically attaches directly onto the frame. And what that does is, as we wear the mask on our head and we adjust the strap, a lot of that tension that the strap sustains gets transferred directly onto the frame, with the result being that the mask, the more we adjust the mask, the more this frame is pushed against our face, creating discomfort and pain. With a frameless mask such as this one, that is not a problem. And because the strap is connected directly onto a piece of silicone that is part of the skirt of the mask, what happens, as you can see, is that a lot of that tension gets absorbed directly by the silicone attachment and is not transferred to the mask itself. Now, like I said, this is customary of masks with this design, such as, for example, another C4 mask, the plasma mask right here. But if you look at the plasma mask, you will see that this piece of silicone right here, where the buckle is attached to, is actually a solid piece that has far more resistance to tension throughout time, and it's obviously also a lot more resistance to any accidental cutting or any laceration that may be encountered by the mask. Whereas the design on the Falcon Mask, instead of a solid piece, these little straps, I cannot, my intuition and my knowledge of these products tells me that this strap is very prone to failure sooner rather than later. And I admit that I can be wrong, and time is the only one that can prove me either right or wrong. But in the meantime, I cannot stop but feeling that this particular choice of not a solid piece is nothing more than stylistic and for looks. And I think that ultimately it may be the deciding factor, the weak point, if you will, the weak link that may cause this strap to come loose or to come completely undone from the mask. And so then, in the strap category, we are going to take 1 point away from the mask for a total of 4 points. And finally, in design and manufacture, we have to look at the skirt or the whole of the mask. Skirt is a single piece, but I believe that C4 has managed to do something which is really amazing, which is either they have managed to fuse different materials in the design, or at least, at the very least, and for sure, different thicknesses of the same material. Because if you look at the skirt right here, and I will show you now, I will put the mask against a strong light so you can see how translucent certain parts of the mask are, namely the sides of the nose pocket are way softer and thinner than the rest of the skirt, making it easier for you to find your nose even with gloves, which is really important in cold water. We also have enough separation down here to prevent any kind of leakage induction or seal failure in the all important area between the nose and the upper lip. We have we have 11 millimeters right here, so that's more than the required 1 centimeter that we demand. So this is really good. Another thing that I love about the skirt construction is also the gasket right here, if you will, the seal, where in this particular mask it is very obvious that the design of this seal is raised from the mask, greatly increasing its capability to eliminate leakage. Then on the skirt, we are going to give the mask 5 points because it truly is a wonderful design and really excellent construction. Now then, for fit and functionality, or how well will the mask allow us to perform all of the functions that are required of it. The first point, it's going to be ease of equalization or access to the nose pocket. Now, on ease of equalization or nose pocket access, you can see that there is a lot of space at the bottom of the mask for a pair of fingers to comfortably, grasp at the foot pocket. And as we said before, the actual silicone on the sides of the foot pocket is very soft, very pliable, greatly enhancing the possibility to get a good grip on the nose. Another thing that I love is that for people like myself who actually do not pinch their nose but actually block their nostrils and equalize by blocking the nostrils, that the skirt does not really bend or deforms as you plug the nose from the bottom. So equalization with this mask is as easy as it is with the best of masks, and it's not a problem at all. So in that particular point, we're gonna give the mask again 5 points. The second point in the fit and functionality category, it's gonna be pressure compensation. How does a mask compensate? Does it become stiff and pushes against the body? Or on the contrary, as it loses its shape, the seals all around the skirt begin to lose conformity and you start getting water leaking from all kinds of directions, as it happens with a lot of these low volume masks. Well, I'm happy to report that this mask has just the perfect balance of rigidity and flexibility. As you can see, the mask can flex if need be, okay, in several directions. So as we reach depth and the air spaces, the air pockets inside the mask begin to sort of shift around, the mask actually will sort of readjust to the face, but it retains rigidity in the important areas, mostly up here in the brow section right there, so that the frames of the mask or the lenses in this particular case do not get sucked in and pressed right against the brow, creating great discomfort and pain. When we need to equalize the mask, let's remember that most of the air that gets lodged inside between the mask and the face will be in these areas right here on the outer periphery of the eyes. But I don't know if you can see these indentations right here, but these indentations are nothing more than channels that sort of like shift air from this area right here to the inside of the lens, as is this channel back here that comes from the bottom of the nose and goes around, therefore letting us equalize the mask at depth very easily and preventing any unwanted deformations or pressurizations inside the mask. So in this particular point, again, the mask gets a outstanding and resounding 5 points. And finally, in the fit and functionality category, we have a category that basically we have in every other piece of gear, and it is anatomical compliance, also overall comfort, if you will. And for overall comfort, as we just said, the mask fits very well. The material of the skirt is extremely soft and pliable. It's very comfortable, soft enough, but it doesn't slip, so it doesn't sort of create discomfort by sort of slipping against the skin, especially when we go deep and the masks start to loosen up a little bit against our face. Some masks tend to sort of slip minutely but noticeably around the face, and the material, the silicone of this mask actually stays put once it's in contact with the skin, which is really good for overall comfort and for the anatomical compliance of the mask. So once again, 5 points in that category. And finally, we come to the last category of vision. Remember, a mask's primary purpose is to allow us to see underwater. And how well a mask does that should be the number one concern when choosing a mask. Let us see what the judging points are. First, it's going to be stereo vision integrity. And what is a stereo vision integrity? Don't forget that we have two eyes. That's what we refer to as stereoscopic vision. And the use of two eyes is what allows us to actually form the sense of depth perception when we look at something. Now, underwater, because of the magnification effect that the water has, that magnification effect is actually going to cause, it tends to sort of flatten the image, to compress the image in front of us, which already will decrease our depth perception underwater significantly. Now, how a mask design can further hinder that depth perception is by placing objects in between both of our eyes. The bigger this obstacle right there in the shape of lens frames and or a nose pocket, the bigger it is, the more impeded our stereoscopic vision is. If you constantly have that black bar effect in front of your eyes and need to constantly, again, look sideways so that you can have unobstructed vision. And the Falcon Mask actually performs quite well. I'm gonna put a frame now here, how much of an object, of a black bar effect, if you will, appears in my field of vision, which is minimal. And therefore, we're gonna give the mask in this particular point all 5 points. As we continue in the vision category, things start to become a lot more technical, but no less important. In fact, a lot more important. Next point is going to be horizontal angle of view. In other words, is this mask restrictive? Does it allow wide vision, or does it constrain our vision and limits, our field of view? This is really important because the more restrictive the mask is, the more we are forced to constantly shift our head around, trying to improve our vantage point. And every time we do that, not only are we getting distracted, not only are we becoming uncomfortable, not only are we losing concentration in whatever it is we're doing, but every time we start looking at an angle, our depth perception, our stereoscopic vision suffers just as much. Now, in degrees, the human angle of view, the horizontal angle of view, is about 120 degrees, which is pretty wide. We have determined that the angle of vision of the Falcon Mask to be anywhere between 97 to 103 degrees. So let's say 100 degrees. Now, that is really good. That is not bad at all. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna show you a few clips that were shot underwater with an angle, with a lens that has an effective angle of view of 120 degrees, perfectly mimicking human side. And then I'm gonna compress, I'm gonna crop that image to what 100 degrees would look like, just so you see how much human vision will be restricted underwater with the use of this mask. But 100 degrees, even at 95, it's far beyond the minimum 80 degrees that we require. So in that sense, the mask already gets 5 points. And next, we come to something which is a bit trickier, which is gonna be now the vertical angle of view, which, as the name would indicate, it's nothing more than the same as the horizontal angle of view, but turned onto a different axis. But there's something here to consider. Given the fact that all masks, especially freediving masks, are far more restrictive at the bottom of the mask because of how much closer the frame of the lenses is to the bottom of the eye as compared to the upper part of the frame, which is further separated from the eye, we are gonna have a far less restricted clearance when looking upwards than we are gonna have when looking downwards. And so rather than giving you an angle of view in degrees like we did in the horizontal category, what I'm gonna do is tell you exactly how close or far we can distinguish objects. Five inches from the top of my head, right here. For me to be able to see an object, it will only take, again, 5 inches from the crown of my head. It'll only take about 10 inches from here for me to already be able to distinguish that object that's in front of me. That is an excellent upwards visibility because anything that's actually very close, to my head will be visible. From my line of sight to about my waist, which is about 26 inches, it takes already 25 inches. So from my waist, from here to here, 26 inches, it takes 25 inches upwards for me to be able to clearly distinguish an object in front of me. That means that anything closer than 25 inches at my waist to me will not be apparent, will not be instantly visible. But it gets worse. Now, going down to my knees, which from my line of sight to the middle of my knees is about 45 inches, even longer for those who are not as vertically challenged as I am. It takes already now 32 inches of separation from my knees for me to be able to actually see an object. Anything closer than that, it's not visible at all. That is not good. It's not terrible, but it's not good. It means that we have too much of a blind spot, from our chin basically down all the way to our feet. And it's an area of considerable volume where unless we constantly keep looking down, all right, and sort of breaking our streamline position and breaking our concentration, we do not really know what's happening there, especially when swimming over structures such as a wreck, which have the potential for cuts and abrasions and other things. We really need to be extra careful with this mask. I'm gonna give the mask another 4 points. And finally, in the vision department, we want to talk about the all-around quality of the vision that the mask provides. How good is it, this mask? Does it allow us to see well enough that we're not bothered by it, that we are not constantly shifting for a better vantage point? Does it let us do what we came here to do? Can we free dive in peace? However, I am happy to tell you that although the mask indeed does not provide as ample or as comfortable a vision as other masks that are obviously a little bit larger than this mask, it is good enough that I do not feel it to be a constraint. So then I'm gonna give the mask an unexpected but obviously most welcome 5 points for overall vision quality. With that, we have come to the end of the test of the C4 Falcon Mask. What can I say about this little performer right here? That I am surprised? Indeed I am. That I am impressed? For sure. A phenomenal product. It is the lowest volume mask that we have seen that actually has flat lenses, not a curved polycarbonate design, which is not really a good thing. Like I said before, those are nothing more than glorified swim goggles. So this is a real mask with good optical quality glass in front of it, extremely low volume. I think it's an amazing performer. I do think that it's not necessarily for everybody, but most serious freedivers, especially all deep freedivers, will benefit tremendously from this particular mask. And with that in mind, we're gonna come to the final score, which is an impressive 48 points. At 48 points, it earns a score of outstanding product, highly recommended. We hope that you leave us comments below, especially if you own one of these, and tell us what you yourself think of the mask. And with that, we are done with the review. We bid you safe dives, and we will see you soon again. Thank you.